Yo, what's up? So, my friend Brandon Coleman, where do I even begin? So, back in the day, when I was in kindergarten, right, I was hanging out with Greg Oferly and Alan Fedorovich, a Korean dude and a white dude, right? And for some reason, we had got to picking on B Coleman. I don't know why. I don't know. But in gym class, I had tripped him and he fell and busted his chin and there was blood everywhere and it left a scar. And his grandma wanted to talk to my mom, so we all linked up at the park, right? At the school. And me and Brandon were on the swings and they explained so my mom had left my dad and we moved far away. Then we moved back to the South and I was disconnected a bit from my family and whatnot. My mom and his grandma had to explain to me that I am black, as in I am an African American. And in my head, I didn't quite understand because of the way my skin color was, And they basically said me and him should be looking out for each other, There's no reason why I should be with this Korean dude and this white dude bullying him, So me and Brandon Coleman got on the swings. We chopped it up, I'll remember this day forever. Like the sun was setting and Brandon Coleman's like, I don't have my dad and you don't have your dad. We got a lot in common. He told me that. And I realized he was right. And so this is where it gets messed up. It turns out that when he was a kid, and he remembers this, his dad came home one day and stabbed his mom to death. The last thing he remembers is her pushing him under the table to hide in his walker and telling him to be quiet. And his dad, stabbed his mom. So she died. That always bugged him. Now at school, he would get picked on a lot, and he was civilized and he was a genuinely good spirit. You guys I don't know if anybody will ever understand. He was a genuinely good spirit. He was civilized. Man, spending time with him was like magic, That was the first dude who showed me how to headbutt. So, we're from a tough area. One day we're in the back of the class. He's like, Kyle, look, I want to show you how to headbutt. I'm like, okay. And then he, bam, right in the forehead. I remember I wanted to cry and he just barely tapped my head with his head. His head was hard, And I'm like putting my head, yeah, that hurts. I'm going to remember this headbutt in case I need it. And I've used the headbutt in several fights since. If I headbutted you before. I learned that from him in the back of classroom. Pee-wee days. Brandon Coleman, the vibe of his house was magical. I mean, he always had the weirdest video games. We would play blind tag in there. I remember we watched 13 Ghosts together and our minds were so small. You got to understand, we were raised in a church environment, a ghetto environment. Our brains weren't plugged into all of this information. We're from the 90s, When I saw 13 Ghosts, I was like, whoa. And I watched that with him at his house, He had the McMillan pool down the street from his house. We'd go swimming, We'd walk to church together sometimes. I remember on the side of the library, he headbutted, our dude Mark one day. Mark went down screaming, crying, wiggling, squirming. I thought we were all going to go to jail. I thought we did something bad for real. You know, I thought that was going to be like a murder. I thought Mark was going to die, you know. And Brandon didn't want to do that. Brandon never wanted to fight. Every time he ever got into it, you could see he did not want to fight. He did not want to hurt nobody. He did not want nothing to do with that mess. He was a great dude, man. Like one of the greatest memories I have is waking up at his house. Swear, even Austin would vouch for this if Austin was still alive. We'd wake up and walk out into the living room to find Brandon, and we would come to see that he was in the kitchen with no shirt on, cooking all of us breakfast, dude. Cooking all of us breakfast. Eggs, bacon, grits. Brandon Coleman cooked me breakfast, dude. In the 90s. In the early 2000s. That memory is golden. And his favorite rapper was Snoop Dogg. He loved Snoop Dogg. We loved that movie, Bones or whatever, you know. Every time I think of Brandon, I think of Snoop Dogg. Every time I think of Snoop Dogg, I think of Brandon. That was his favorite rapper. Dude was just a legend, period. He's dead now, you know. Once at, I don't want to say, I just want to say about once a week, I drive by his house just to look at it. And it's always melancholy. And I think he's not there anymore. That was my friend from the cradle, you know. We're right next to each other in the yearbook. From kindergarten to 8th grade. Front to back, you know. For General Motors to say that I'm fired because I wouldn't talk to a black person because they are black is ridiculous. It's robbing me of my genetics, my DNA, my color, my heritage, and my sanity. And sometimes I think I must be a lunatic. I must be a lunatic because I am really mentally disturbed over that, you know? And I'm just having a dialogue. This is my friend Brandon Coleman. This is why I keep the picture.